All right, we're on again. All right, welcome everyone. My name is Larry James. My company is Speak with Larry. And normally on Tuesdays and Thursdays, I have Zoom interviews that I do with different people who are entrepreneurs in their own right, or maybe authors or speakers or just people who are actually in the business, so to speak. But from time to time, we have a miscommunication when it comes to the interviewee, the interviewer, and them, the interviewee. So when that happens, I just like to give you guys a little something to watch or something to kind of rattle around in your mind so that, you just didn't miss the actual opportunity, because you never know who's watching and who gets the opportunity to uh, benefit from, some knowledge that's being, shown free. And again, my company teaches people how to set up the foundation of their online business while helping them become more comfortable speaking about it. Now, I know that's a mouthful and it's a lot to take in, but creating your own company and speaking about your company, that's two different incomes right there altogether. So that may be something that you would consider, especially now with everything the way it is. You're being quarantined or you're being made to remain in one place. Now is a good time to actually learn some of the skills necessary to do what I do or do what you would be doing. The only difference between what I do and what you would be doing is that you would be doing it, right? Which is good because you become a professional, you become an expert at what you do. So what I want to talk about this on this video are, what do you do when things don't go as scheduled? Like for me today, right? I'll tell you what I do. I always create something else because I believe in creating content. I know content is king. The more content I have available for people to actually access, the more likely they'll be able to follow my guidance back to a website or a blog, or maybe an opportunity that I have available for the viewer, right? And that's what you always want to keep in mind. You always want to be able to share uh, a way for people to contact you so that if they're interested, they can contact you. Now, one of the things you can do is reach me at speakwithlarry.blog. That's one of my blogs. You can also reach me at speakwithlarry.com. That's my website. But that website, I'm currently having a new hosting. I disassociated with one hosting company. Now I'm bringing in another hosting company. So it's going to take 24 to 48 hours for that to get back up. So give me a little time on that. But you could also reach me at speakwithlarryj@gmail.com if you want to reach me by email. That's where people who are interested in registering to set up an interview would contact me. And then within 24 hours, I'll get back with you and we'll set up the date and everything. And then on the day that we're supposed to interview, then you just 5 minutes before 7, that's normally when I do it. You just click on and follow the few instructions and boom, you're there, right? And you become famous. But I was doing some research this week, and I wanted to share some things that I ran across from some people that I did some research with. I don't know if you guys are familiar with TED Talks. You probably are familiar with TED Talks. They're really, really popular. But if you're not really internet savvy, you're probably not. But TED Talk allows people to get up and speak and talk about whatever topics they want to talk about. It's really a good captivating type audience that you have available to you, but it's on that next level. It's not like in the beginning stages. So you want to be a professional, you want to be prepared. But I was listening to a guy this week on there. He had a little 5-minute clip he was able to do. And he was talking about, he's a teacher and he teaches kids like below 10 years old, right? So really the formative years. And he was saying he has a little banner that he requires all the kids to memorize once they become students in his class. And what they're memorizing are what's called core principles. Core principles, things that you stand on, right? Now, one of the first core principle he says he has is read critically. Read critically. Number 2, write consciously. Number 3, speak clearly. And number 4, tell your truth. I thought those were great, especially for children who are just kind of forming, what they want to do or what direction they would like to go, or, just kind of, give them something solid to stand on, because life is sometimes difficult. So if you are able to, look someone directly in the eye, shake their hand, maybe not now, but, and speak clearly, that will define who you are later in life if you start that at an early age. And then there was another guy that I watched his clip. His clip was a little bit longer, but it was really, really interesting. He was talking about procrastinators. Yes, procrastinators. And he said that he's a procrastinator also. Now, I'm not a procrastinator. I like to follow a system or a schedule. I'm really kind of like that. But it made sense the way he was talking about how procrastinators really work. Because a lot of times procrastinators actually do work better when they're kind of up against the wall. Who would have thought, right? That would never work for someone like myself, but for them it works fairly well. But what I want to reference from his clip was that he was talking about the 2 types of procrastinations, not procrastinators, but procrastinations. And you can probably wrap your mind around this if you are a procrastinator or if you know a procrastinator. But he says that there's 2 types of procrastinations. The first one is called deadline procrastinations. Now, that makes sense, right? Let me give you an example. Let's say I'm going to pay you $5,000 to come and speak at an event that I've got 2 weeks from now. 2 weeks from now. Now, you may or may not be a speaker, right? But in 2 weeks, if you agree to come and speak for an hour about what it is that you do, I'm going to cut you a check for $5,000, right? Simple enough. Now, if you're a procrastinator, chances are very good that you allow a week and a half to go by before you even start to put your presentation together. Procrastinate to do that. And because you work better with deadlines, right? So as you're getting closer to the deadline, he says what happens is there's this fictional character he called the panic monster. And you can relate to that, right? Because you begin to panic the closer you get to that time to speak, because you don't have your content together, you're not really structured, you don't really have your PowerPoint or any of that. So let's say 2 days before the actual deadline or the actual event, you get everything together, right? Now, the panic monster is going to show up again because you're not really certain that it's the way it needs to be, or do you need to make any corrections, right? That's one type of procrastination. The second type of procrastination is called no deadline, which means what? It means you just say you're going to do something, but you never set a date, a time, or any of that. So, which means that the panic monster won't show up. You get it? And when I heard that, I was like, wow, that is so true. Because, the closer, even me, the closer I get to a deadline, the more anxious I get, because I need to make certain everything is correct. Because that's me. I want to present in a way that, that's memorable. And that's what I focus on. But for it to be explained the way it was, I was like, well, I bet other people need to hear this. And when I get an opportunity to share things like that, that's exactly what I do. And finally, there was another guy, his name was Adam Grant. And he says there are 2 different kinds of doubt. What's a doubt? You know what a doubt is. It's like you're not sure you're going to be able to do that, right? There's self-doubt, which is paralyzing. It freezes you in your tracks. And then there's idea doubt, which energizes and motivates you to test, experiment, and refine what you're doing. Idea doubt. When you come up with an idea, right? Ideas are great to come up with because it gives you a place to begin, right? Then you can move on, then you make adjustments along the way. Now, one of the things that as a speaker or as an entrepreneur, I run across all the time is a lot of people don't know what they want to do. Some people will say, I know I want to help people, but I just don't know what I want to do. So my suggestion is always to identify what it is you enjoy. And a lot of people really, believe it or not, have a problem identifying what they enjoy. Do you? Do you know what you like? If you know what you like, then you got half the battle won, because all you have to do is start gaining knowledge in that area, and other things will become obvious to you. You may decide that really you wanted to go that direction, but since you were able to begin something, which is the first step is always the most difficult, and that's why you need someone that can hold you accountable. In other words, you need to have someone that can kind of make sure that you're not just speaking in the wind, right? Because that's what procrastinators do. They talk about things that they're going to do, but they never take any action. And they never take any action because of that open deadline, right? They don't have a deadline set. If they had a deadline set, then the panic monster will be able to come in, right? Other than that, they won't get anything done. So for the rest of this time that I'm going to give you guys today, I want to share some interview questions that I have for people like yourself who may not be an entrepreneur, may not have your own book that you've written, or you may not, have any type of affiliation with the internet altogether. As far as like, you may be afraid of the computer or technology. A lot of people are like that, especially the older generation, right? They have like a stigma when it comes to getting online and putting information in about who they are, what they do. The mindset is kind of conditioned because it's been over time, and as you reinforce information over time, it becomes your truth, whether it's right or wrong. Because you can probably testify to the fact that there are things that you found out in the last 2, 3, 4 years that you thought was something else. Now you know that's not the way it is. And when I see those types of situations, my question is always this: now that you know the truth, do you still believe the lie? You have to ask yourself that, because there are many people who do know the truth, know it indisputably, but still believe the lie. You may be one of those people. Okay, I'm going to go through these really quickly. Let's say you're on the other side of this screen, right? And I'm talking back and forth to you. I'll ask you these questions. It's about 25 or 30 questions. I can go through them really quickly there, but you can run this back and you can answer them for yourself. And then if you ever get an opportunity to come to the Speak with Larry show and do an interview, bam, we can talk about it, right? If not, I'm good at creating different types of situations when it comes to conversations. So the first one says, what was your favorite subject in school? The next one, what did you want to be when you grew up? Then, do you hold grudges? Do you believe in aliens? Do you prefer dogs, cats, or neither? You see how that works? Very simple process. You can answer these questions consciously without preparing. You can just rattle them off, right? But what they do is they allow you to look within. which is what my objective is for you to be able to hear these questions for the first time and answer them truthfully from who you really are, not because you're trying to impress whoever, right? Or you're trying to be somebody else, but because it allows you to answer who you really are. The next one is, if you could change anything about yourself, what would it be? Next, if you were a superhero, what powers would you want to have? I know, right? Next, what was your least favorite subject in school? Number 10, on a scale from 1 to 10, how happy are you? Now, you should know that, right? Number 11, what would be your dream car? You have one, right? I do too. I may be driving it. Okay, number 13, do you collect anything? And if so, what? I'm a collector of watches. I love watches. I probably have 70 watches. But you know the difficulty about collecting watches? I don't collect like clocks or nothing like that, just only watches, things I can wear. But you have to keep changing the batteries out. that gets expensive. But it's worth it because, I like a variety of watches to go with different, things you wear. Next question. Which of the 5 senses would you say is your strongest? Sense of sight, sense of taste, sense of touch, sense of smell, and sense of hearing. Those are the 5 senses. Next, if you were famous, would you want a statue or a building named after you? A statue or a building? After that, if you were comfortably rich, would you work hard for more or rest on your laurels? Next, on a scale from 1 to 10, how funny would you say you are? Okay, if you could talk to one species of animal, which would it be? Next, do you prefer giving or receiving gifts? Would you consider yourself a procrastinator? Speaking of procrastinators. Next, what's been the best decision you've made in your life so far? To go to college, to get married, to have a baby, to wait till you get married to have a baby? What is that? What's the best decision that you made in your life so far? Next, do you have any old friends you wish you could meet up with again? That answer is normally absolutely. Next, are you the kind of friend you'd want to have as a friend yourself? Got to be honest, man. Got to be honest. Next question. On a scale from 1 to 10, how attractive are you? Right. These are good questions, right? Especially if you're hearing them for the first time and you're having to answer them. Okay, I've got a few more. What habit are you most proud that you gave up? What habit are you most proud of that you gave up? Next, would you consider yourself a jealous person? Have you ever met anyone famous? And if so, who? What is your favorite day of the week? I bet you have one. What is one thing you wish you were better at? Be honest. Do you think people really get any wiser as they get older? What room in your house best reflects your personality? On a scale from 1 to 10, how much do you trust people? Are you a morning person or a night person? Do you think money can buy happiness? If you won the lottery, what would you do first? And finally, on a scale from 1 to 10, how would you rate this questionnaire? Be honest. Okay, I think so. I like that questionnaire. They had some really good points, but we could be adding some more to it just to change things up a little bit in case you decide to reach out at speakwithlarryj@gmail.com for your Zoom interview. Now, I'm going to be doing Zoom interviews all year, the full year of 2020. My objective is to do 50. This would have been my 8th one. So I have no rush, but I'm learning and I'm getting more skilled at what I do, because next year my objective is to create my own video podcast. I have a audio podcast I do once a week, but I want to do the video podcast, but I want to bring in someone else with me, maybe 1 or 2 people. So we're going to talk about that later on, but it's always interesting to, create things that don't exist from your thoughts, and then they become revenue generators. They begin to make money for you, right? Plus, you're doing what you love, so you don't really have to hate having to go do this or hate having to go do that. That's the lifestyle we were designed to have. Doing what we love to do, something that we really enjoy and we can get good at and be an expert at. And technology allows you to do that nowadays. So think about that. With that being said, my name is Larry James. My company is Speak with Larry, no spaces. And as always, share with someone else what I've shared with you.